Hello, Pak Dzikri. It is a pleasure to presenting this topic and thank you for watching my presentation. My name is Kevin Christoper Halomoan from MBA-ITB program at Freeport, Indonesia, Lembah 72. This presentation titled What Drives Household Adoption of Rooftop Solar PV in Indonesia is submitted to fulfill the midterm requirement of Economic and Business Landscape Analysis. In the next few minutes, I will present an analysis of the complex landscape spanning economic, policy, technical, and social factors that shapes the adoption of this critical renewable energy technology in our country. To begin, let's frame this analysis within the broader global and national context. The world is currently undergoing a significant energy transition, driven by a collective awareness of climate change and the need of long-term energy security. As a key player in the global economy and a nation with vast solar potential, Indonesia has formally committed to this transition. We know it RUEN, Rencana Umum Energi Nasional. Through these rules, the government has set a target of achieving of 23% renewable energy mix by 2025, it means this year. Furthermore, Indonesia has pledged to reach net zero emission or NZE by 2060 or earlier. Rooftop solar PV, positioned as a cornerstone technology to help achieve these ambitious goals, particularly within the household sector, which is a major energy consumer. The central issue in the business landscape of rooftop solar in Indonesia is a stark gap between potential and reality. On one hand, the nation's technical potential for rooftop solar is immense, exceeding 600 gigawatts. Our equatorial location blesses us with average global horizontal irradiation or GSI of 4.8 kilowatt-hour per meter square, which is significantly higher than that of a developed solar market like Germany. On the other hand, the actual installed capacity in residential areas remains marginal and progress is very slow, putting our 2025 national energy target. This discrepancy raises the central question of my essay. What are the specific economic, policy, and social factors that are either driving or more critically hindering the adoption of this technology by Indonesian households? To answer this, my analysis deconstructs the problem into four case areas. Let's begin with the most dominant factor that emerged from the research, the economic and financial landscape. My analysis confirms that economic factors are the primary determinant in the household adoption decision. The single greatest barrier is the high upfront investment cost. This is proven by unfavorable economic equation for the consumer. Subsidized electricity tariffs from PLN often mean that the levelized cost of electricity from a PV system is higher than buying from the grid. In fact, specific techno-economic studies said that on a typical 3 kilowatt peak household system revealed a negative net present value, meaning the long-term savings do not justify the initial investment without significant external support. This is supported by a national survey which found that price value, the perceived financial benefit, has the strongest influence on a household's intention to install solar panels, surpassing all the factors. While environmental concerns are present, the decisions to adopt remains highly sensitive to direct financial incentives. This challenging economic reality is heavily influenced by the regulatory environment. So, Let's now turn our attention to the role of government regulation and policy. A stable policy framework is essential for any long-term investment market to thrive. However, in Indonesia, the policy landscape for rooftop solar has been a source of uncertainty rather than stability. The regulatory framework has been described as fluxing. A prime example is the net metering scheme, which has undergone a turbulent evolution, shifting from a favorable 100% credit for exported energy down to a less attractive 65% under ESDM Regulation 2018 before returning to 100% ESDM 2021. This volatility erodes the trust of both consumers and potential investors. System dynamics modeling has shown that the 100% net metering policy is significantly more effective in driving adoption and carbon dioxide reduction. Underlying this instability is systemic institutional friction between SDM, which promotes the pro-solar policies, and PLN, which often obstructs them, creating what has been described as a practically hostile environment for adapters. This policy friction is deeply connected to the technical and infrastructural realities of our national energy system. Let's explore those challenges next. This brings us to what I term the potential paradox. The gap between Indonesia's massive solar potential and its conservative government's target is not due to a lack of sunlight, but rather than deep-seated institutional and infrastructural barriers. Firstly, PLN's grid is largely unprepared for the high penetration of two-way power flow required by widespread rooftop solar. Secondly, PLN faces significant financial distinctive to integrate renewables due to its long-term take-or-pay contracts with coal-fired power plants, which obligate them to purchase fossil fuel-based power regardless of demand. At the user level, my research also found reports of practical challenges, most notably the frequent overheating of components in Indonesia's tropical climate, which impacts performance and lifespan. This combination of grid instability and system performance concerns foster a fundamental distrust in the overall reliability of the energy ecosystem. These technical and economic factors do not exist in a vacuum. They are perceived and acted upon by people. This leads us to the final and equally crucial part of the analysis, the human element. Finally, we must analyze the social and behavioral landscape. Social dynamics are powerful drivers of adoption. My research found that peer influence and subjective norms, that is, seeing successful examples of solar adoption within one's community, significantly boost purchase intention. Trust in the service providers and their reputation also plays a key role. However, there are also significant social barriers. A major one is the lack of technical understanding and information among the general public, which leads to a high perception of a risk and a lack of trust in solar providers. This is why innovative business models that remove the upfront cost and technical burdens, such as leasing or community solar programs, are found to be far more appealing to Indonesian households than direct purchase. Having analyzed these four distinct but interconnected areas, we can now synthesize these findings into a cohesive conclusion. In conclusion, the slow adoption of rooftop solar in Indonesia is not a simple problem with a single solution. It is a complex, multifaceted challenge rooted in the nation's economic and business landscape. The key drivers for adoption are clear financial benefits, strong social norms, and trust in the technology. The primary barriers are the high upfront cost, an unstable and sometimes hostile policy environment, systemic institutional friction, grid limitations, and a significant lack of public energy literacy. Therefore, a multifaceted approach is essential. Addressing only one factor such as cost will be insufficient. To truly unlock Indonesia's vast rooftop solar potential, we need a holistic strategy that tackles economic affordability, social awareness, policy stability, and business model innovation simultaneously. Based on this conclusion, my essay proposed a strategic roadmap for action, which I will now outline. Based on the analysis, I propose a strategic roadmap targeting key stakeholders. For the government, three actions are critical. First, implement segmented financial incentives. This means tailoring subsidies and financing to different household economic profiles to ensure support is both effective and efficient. Second, revise and stabilize regulations. It is imperative to lock in an attractive and, most importantly, predictable net metering policy to reduce the investment payback period and rebuild market confidence. Third, coordinate policy. By empowering local governments to align their regional energy plans with national targets. For the industry, the focus must be on innovation. First, develop new business models, promoting leasing, community solar, and integrated EPC service will lower the significant barriers to entry households. Second, the industry must enhance technical support and quality assurance by establishing robust after-sales service networks to build long-term consumer confidence in the technology's reliability. Continuing with the roadmap, a major focus must be on public awareness. We need to incentivize public education and demonstration programs to raise awareness about the benefits and practical aspects of rooftop PV. This directly addresses the knowledge gap that currently fuels risk perception and hinders adoption. On the infrastructure side, we must improve the grid framework. This means proactively addressing the technical concerns about the grid reliability and conductivity to ensure homeowners can maximize the benefits of their investment. Finally, we should explore storage and tariffs. This involves investigating incentives for battery storage or implementing time of use tariffs, which can enhance the value of solar for homeowners without putting additional strain on the national grid. By implementing this comprehensive set of recommendations, we can begin to close the gap between potential and reality. In closing, the journey to unlock Indonesia's rooftop solar potential is a challenge of systemic transformation. It requires a clear-eyed analysis of the entire economic and business landscape. By addressing the interconnected barriers of cost, policy, infrastructure, and public awareness with a coordinated and strategic approach, Indonesia can overcome its current challenges and move decisively towards a more sustainable and self-sufficient energy future. This concludes my presentation for the midterm assessment of the Economic and Business Landscape Analysis course. Thank you, Pak Dzikri Firmansyah Hakam, for your time and attention.